And legislatively, today is the last day for the House of Origin. It's the cutoff at 5 o'clock was. So that means no new bills can be presented. However, there's still plenty floating around out there, and comments are always welcome. They've got the EHB 2242 McCleary fix, and there's some issues there that needs to be, hold harmless needs to be clear and funded. Special ed funding is the SSB 6362 with a per pupil multiplier with a slight increase. Lap flexibility, K-3 class size compliance requirements, levy and LEA policies approaches. WASA and WASDA requesting a delay on that one, and regionalization addressing the most pressing issues for the McCleary fix. And there's OSPI requests legislation about further district-specific analysis. It's pretty scary what they are doing to us. And again, I'll throw in the carbon tax as well for this side of the state is a killer. When you think of how many low-income families live in Oakdale, Tico, and the outlying areas, because that's where all they can afford to live, but yet they work in Spokane or in Pullman, they're the ones that are going to be really affected on this, and it's pretty scary. I mean, it's the West Side ruling again, and I think the impact it will have on our residents in Eastern Washington is pretty sad. But that has nothing to do with education. It's just my personal grumbling. But I always have to have something to grumble about with the legislators. So, all right, that's it for my report.
Thank you, Director Weed. Director Roberts.
Thanks, Susan.
Sure.
Yeah, so I don't have much to say. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I did have the pleasure of attending the PTA meeting last night at Franklin Elementary, and I learned about a science fair they're having, I think March 20th to the 22nd. Sounded really cool. They need readers, so I know that some of us know professors and scientists, and so they're looking for at least specialists that can kind of comment on sciencey things, so they don't have to be specialists. This was a quote in here. But yeah, so I have a couple of friends I was actually going to rope into it, but I think they need a lot. So anybody else knows any? But other than that, that's all I have to report.
And it's for sciencey things?
Yeah, so the students get to pick which topic they do, and then they want to try to associate someone who knows something about that topic to the student's project.
Okay.
Within reason, because it depends on who volunteers. But they said they usually have a pretty good spread of people.
Neat.
You know, being WSU, I can see where you could
hopefully,
rope in some folks. But
that's where we're so lucky to live in this community.
It can be challenging because all the elementary schools have large science fairs.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, we do have a lot of people with scientific background, but even education students who are studying to teach science, they're actually some of the best.
Yeah, they said they had a lot of luck with the
Yeah.
students, and not so much this year as usual. And so that's kind of something they were recruiting. But I think they did get quite a few students to show up. And I think that's probably the largest population.
I think you'll really enjoy seeing the science fair. It's amazing.
Nice.
They're all
I'm excited to go check it out.
Science projects in one room. All right. Is that all?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And Director Everman is excused tonight for religious observance. In addition to being Valentine's Day, it's also Ash Wednesday tonight. So, Director Tanner.
I was going to report on the spaghetti feed, which was the fundraiser for 5th grade camp. It was held last week. And I talked to Meg Golnick, who was the organizer this year, and she said that they're still waiting for a few transactions to come through for the silent auction, but as of yesterday, they had $11,333 raised. They served 600 plates of spaghetti. The highest silent auction item went for $360. And the parents really enjoyed seeing the new tents, and she said to say thank you to everybody for putting those up, especially Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
And she also said that the middle school custodial crew was amazing in helping get everything set up and cleaned up afterwards. So she said to say thank you for that. And amazing community support. And I just wanted to thank Meg for her organization, because I think she ran a really successful spaghetti feed. So That's all I have this
All
week.
right, thank you, Director Tanner. And Joe, you were just thanked for your help at the spaghetti feed, by the way.
Everyone liked seeing the tents.
Yeah.
So thank
Good
you.
practice. Are you going to get to put them all up at the, during the camp, before camp too?
Yeah, so this was a good practice run.
For them or you?
Pardon?
Are you going to be pitching the tents?
I might figure out a way to go down there on Monday morning and put them together.
Good for you.
Fun.
I
Okay.
can't think of anything worse, but good for you.
I can think of a few things.
Not, well, having a tooth pulled maybe, that, but no.
Well, I'll report, Bob and I attended also a PTA meeting at Jefferson, so I think that concludes all
Yes,
of the
yeah.
PTAs now. And then today, Bob and I spent time here at PHS. We held a table during lunch hour, had a few visitors there, and then we went into the leadership class, and boy, they gave us a lot of input about things that are going well and things that could be better.
Yeah.
But I would say of all the listening I've done, that was probably the most enjoyable, and I would love to do that again. So thank you to all who have provided input in the
Yes.
listening tour.
Yes, thank you.
All right, superintendent's report.
A couple of items. Pullman 2040 unveiling was last night at the Encounter Ministries, soon to be the new Pullman City Hall. So great turnout last night. I was there to present the education and learning portion of that, and had a number of community members sign up who are interested in exploring a skill center or makerspace type career and technical opportunities for our youth, and had a lot of business owners, made some great contacts, and so really feel privileged to be in this community with so much support, and I think we've raised a group that will be very helpful in exploring this opportunity. So very well attended, a lot of people, probably 150, 200 people last night.
Great.
So.
Can you put me on that list too?
Yeah,
I
can do that.
couldn't go last night because I had a tooth dug out yesterday, so I was kind of drugged. But I would love to be part of that too.
So it was really well attended, did a nice job. There is also a promotional video regarding Pullman, very well done. And I was just, I hope it will be put on their website, so pullman2040.org. And so if it's not there, I will definitely talk with Francis and Garen to get it posted. But a really very nice advertisement regarding Pullman and what Pullman's about. So, construction update with Kamiak Elementary. We continue to make excellent progress on Kamiak. The first floor has been poured. I don't know if the second floor, if they poured it this week or not, Joe.
I do not know.
Yeah. There was a window of nice weather this week, which they may have poured or may not, so tomorrow Joe will find out when we have our construction meeting, but we do post photos of each week on the website, so if people in the community are interested, please check out our Pullman website and you can see the photos. So it's going very well. Listening to our summary, I'll just give a little bit more in depth with that. We've completed visits with staff at each school, PTA, PTO, booster clubs, and as well as students at the high school today. So over the next week, we'll be working on getting a communication out to staff regarding our areas that are themes that have come out of the talks. Some of the rough themes will be culture and communication. Communication was very positive in this round, and a lot of folks mentioned increasing communication, really appreciate the communication that's coming out. Class size was another discussion type topic, and addressing our closing the achievement gap was kind of another theme. So we'll be looking at organizing some of our action projects and kind of short, midterm, and long-term goals. And so we've got a rough sample, and we'll be taking a look at that. So more information to come for the board, but very positive overall, and some good ideas, even from the staff and from the students. Had a lot of good ideas as well. So we'll be summarizing that and getting that back to the board. And a communication will go out from the board. All right, I have my affirmative action report. So my next report, oops, I don't know what that, what, was that it? Yeah. All right, there it is, yay. Let's see if I can. So I'll just give a brief overview for the affirmative action update. Every 5 years, the district goes through a process of an affirmative action review and a report update where we set goals. This is a time of the year where we wanted to report. Dagny's unavailable today, so I'll get to be the person sharing the report. But again, this is to share with the board that we have 328 total employees. An analysis of our labor force by gender, you see that males is slightly down and females is slightly up by the same percentage, 0.40. Again, you can see the totals. Then we break down into job-alike groups that go from administrator to secretary, listing out how many males, how many females, and gives you totals. The next is a breakdown of certificated employees. And again, we break that out by preschool, elementary, middle, high. Itinerants. Itinerants would be school psychologist, speech language pathologist, occupational therapist. TOSAs are teachers on special assignment. And again, it gives you a total. And so we look at number of males and females in each of those categories. With that, the focus area of identification for administrators, both certificated and classified, one of the things that we wanted to do is to take a look at increasing the number of women in our administrative cohort. And so based on surrounding data, the district's 5-year goal is to hire 2 female administrators. The updated over the course of the last 2 years, the district has hired actually 4 female administrators. One of those individuals filled a newly created position while the other 3 was hired as replacements. So overall, we've seen a net increase of 3 female administrators during the same time period. So it's increased by 3 with a 30.8% of the administrative positions currently being filled by females. 2 years ago, it was only 18.2%. So I think we're doing very good on that goal, and we've exceeded our 5-year goal for that particular goal. Again, we also take a look at ethnicity, so looking at race, and we've seen an increase in the American Indian / Native American, or Alaska Natives, excuse me, Asian, and 2 or more races. Down below that, you can see our job-alike groups, again, showing primarily most of those are white. Looking at an overall breakdown of certificated staff versus students. So again, you can see the percentage of certificated staff versus percentage of students, and if it's an increase or if there's a difference, excuse me. And you can see the green versus the red arrows. So one of the things that we were taking a look at is to try to increase our certificated staff with a race that might better reflect our student population. So really, it's the underutilization of ethnic minorities, so we're trying to work at increasing that. And again, the summary is down below. And so over the course of the past 2 years, we've seen slight increases in the percentage of employees in both the Asian and 2 or more race groups. In addition, we've also hired 2 employees in the American Indian Alaska Native group. So we've increased from 19 employees to 30 employees. So the net increase of 11 minority employees exceeds our original goal of 5 set back in 2015. So I think we're making very good progress towards the goals that we had set back in 2015, and so we will continue to monitor our hiring practices as well as our information.
Is there a, study on the ethnicity of the citizens in our district?
There is.
So that you can compare to make, I mean, when you get limited on how many of certain ethnicities there are actually living here, not including students. So are we fairly representative that way?
Actually, for our school district, we far exceed what the county total makeup is.
Sure.
Given
Well, not the county, but I'm thinking even just district-wide, if we have I doubt if they have done a study.
not necessarily
district-wise. Yeah.
district-wide, but we do
But
look at
county-wise,
we look at the county data. We look at
It's
Eastern
really,
Washington.
really hard when the hiring pool is so narrow to really exceed. I noticed that back when we had a whole lot more employees, and we were required to do the same thing, and you just can't find people to apply, let alone hire, so.
Well, by our numbers, I think you can see that we've done an excellent job of being able to recruit
Sure.
and retain.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a real plus. We've seen a real increase also in 2 or more races, which I think we'll continue to see. And that's an area that is increasing each year a little bit with our student population.
But it's just, yeah, hopefully it's noticed or recognized when you make these reports that if there's no one there to hire, we really can't
Yeah,
hire. So, all right, thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
How many pages is the document you have up there? Is it the same as what's in the
Yes.
board?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
should be the same.
There is this is not about the substance of this, but like, I think it might be a browser issue. Maybe I'll talk with Ryan, but sometimes like symbols
Oh,
like that happen,
yes.
and then the headings of things get really
Yeah.
messed up like this. And
I also have a paper copy.
yeah, but I mean, I'm just thinking if I am having that issue, I mean, I am looking at this from the board packet that's online. And
Are you
it's,
talking about like the arrows?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the title heading, so it just makes it,
Brian, do you have any idea why? If you want to come take a look.
Look, you get to do something.
yeah,
Susan.
because that's how you view them.
Oh, good.
Because I pulled this right out of the
Online.
packet
It'll be
online.
just census data.
Yeah, so what he, well, no, because you
But the
opened the
trouble
Word
is, yeah.
Oh, I
document.
opened the Word document.
And so, like, this should
But yeah,
say
that's still
preschool
even
all
with-
one, you know.
Yeah.
You're using a web browser.
Yeah.
If that's the only way
Yeah.
I
That's what the
can.
difference is.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, that matches
Okay.
pretty close with the
Um,
students.
Yeah, it
So
does.
if you actually
Yeah.
download the document then to your desktop and then open it that way.
Yes,
It just makes it
that's the only way you can.
hard to hire.
Oh, yeah, well, WC.
I don't mean to interrupt it, it's just that
They have
when
a
it,
hell of a time trying to
I-
hire.
Mine is the
So-
same way.
yeah, I've noticed this kind of more lately, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's,
Where's the document? Where's it at?
sometimes you just want to move them upside the head. Hello.
So when you
There's a
go
reality we have to
to
deal with.
One
here,
law for 50
you
states.
click
It's
on
like-
a link, and
Doesn't work.
then it opens that.
The web browser.
We can talk talk about it another time, because this is
Let's
just
do
a...
that.
Because
because
I mean,
Okay.
if it's somewhere like
I
Texas,
need
I
to-
mean, it's a whole
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
you know, it's a whole lot
Yeah.
easier.
It
to
just can make it
that
kind of hard to
argument.
track,
Sure, if
it's
you
like,
have
oh,
those
wait,
numbers,
my
but
page
around
looks
here, it's
nothing like that, you know,
Can
what
you
is this?
Yeah.
email that to me? I can check it
Sure.
out and figure
Yeah.
it out.
This is what I
Okay.
love about our
Okay.
town.
Yeah.
We'll take a look. Thank you, Ryan. for
Let's see
helping
what
out.
Thank
we
you.
do and then zero.
Yeah. The one question I had, and this might just be something to follow up with Dagny, is on the race ethnicity categories. Sometimes Hispanic is in there, and sometimes it's not.
Yes.
And I found that hard to understand why it would be different in certain charts.
It's different in certain charts because there's, and Dagny told me this minute, so depending on where you're getting the data, many times Hispanic is not the choice, it's two or more races, or falls into a Latino category.
Right,
Latino
it's not a
and Hispanic.
race,
Yeah.
it's an ethnicity.
It's an ethnicity, so I think it was where we're pulling data sometimes becomes that confusion
Huh.
of what report we're pulling it from, so.
Okay, yeah,
I can
because
follow up with
I
that.
just think it would be nice to have whatever the method is, to have it be consistent.
Yep.
Because otherwise it's gonna be really hard to track.
Oh, and it changes.
Yeah, I know,
So-
I know, it's a moving target, but that would be my only comment.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you. Been waiting a while for that. The next portion of the agenda is the visitors section. This part of the agenda is for anyone wishing to speak before the board, either as an individual or a member of a group. Visitors addressing the board will go to the microphone and state their name and address prior to presenting their information. The board will listen and may offer clarification but will not discuss the topic at this time. The board may consider moving the topic presented to a future meeting date as a discussion item. Please keep your comments civil and respectful and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. And we do have a visitor signed in this evening, so I'd like to invite to the podium, is it Keir?
Yes, ma'am.
Keir Krasny.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So nervous. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing great.
My name is Sergeant Keir Krasny. I represent the Washington Army National Guard, and I also am an instructor over at Wazoo for the ROTC program. I wanted to talk with you, the board members, about how putting money into your school, especially focusing on a lot of the programs like the FCCLA or the FFA, the smaller programs that get overlooked that are non-sports programs. And that's what I wanted to discuss with the board about. Putting money into the schools, coming back, it's basically coming from the Washington Army National Guard is trying to figure out to put money back into these schools. And I've had really good luck with Colfax, Clarkston, Soton, LaCrosse school districts. They're allowing me to put money into the schools and how we're doing that. Back in the day, the military used to sponsor sports programs and teams. Due to contract negotiations, they can't do that anymore. So they found another way to put money into schools by renting space, if you will. Or what they're doing is they're supporting some of the smaller clubs. And that's what I do. I'm a recruiter for the Palouse region, so I'm in the high schools a lot. And with, like I said before, with Clarkston, Colfax, had really good luck with that. And what I'm basically proposing is that anything that's less than $3,000, my unit, which Washington Army National Guard, would pay the school, and then they can divvy it up however they need to. If I could put a banner or something that says Washington Army National Guard, or it doesn't even have to be large, it can be something small is all it is. We can figure that out with my marketing department. They can put anything on computer. They can do the Greyhound or something, the school logo, and then as long as it says Washington National Guard on the bottom, real small, that's something that we can come up with and come to an agreement upon. But it's typically anything less than $3,000, and I would like to do that per semester. So that would be close to an extra $6,000 for the school, for the smaller clubs, that they can divvy out however they need to for the high school. And that's what I was actually talking to the board about. I've talked with Shen. She told me, been with her, talked with her about this already, and then she recommended that I come talk to the board. So that's why I'm here today.
So you wouldn't actually be actively recruiting at all? It's just a matter of getting
No, it's just a matter
the
of putting, it's
recognition, the
basically an
logo.
advertising is what we
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
for. We're paying for, so when it comes, for prime example, like the Lamar street signs that you see on the freeway. So the way it works out is that the military can't rent the space, but they can pay for the manufacture and they can pay for the installation of those large signs. So if when something that we agree upon or the principal agrees upon, like, hey, look, I want a banner that says this. Okay, cool. As long as it says National Guard somewhere on it, then we can do that. If I can put it up for the year, like on the football field or the gym, something that we can come into agreement with. So long that way everybody's comfortable with. And that's usually typically, it's about each semester, anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000. And that's what I would like to propose. And I understand it does get kind of strange, which Shannon and I discussed this regarding advertising. And it's not Bob's Burgers, come visit us, we got buy one, get one free and all this other stuff. It's not that. It's more along the lines of, as long as I can put money into your schools, and that's what I'm trying to do, especially focusing on the smaller programs that get overlooked. And then I work closely with the FCCLA and the FFA in this region for some of the other high schools too. So that's what I'm trying to do. So.
Great. Well, thank you. Money is
Yeah,
always
thank you very
good.
much. And so is it 3,000 max for the
3,000
just the high
max.
school?
Yes, it's 3,000 max
okay.
per high school. Then the other thing too is what I talk with some of the other instructors, if they have special events, if they want, like the FFA has an event that they want to do. So then I can say, all right, well, I will advertise, if you put up in the back my banner or something that says National Guard somewhere, then here you go, I can support this program for this special event, as long as it's under $3,000, because it's paid via credit card with a military government credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we can support and help putting money back into the schools. It's basically your tax dollars anyways, so. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, perfect.
Might as well go back to the school as opposed to buying expensive chairs.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd rather do. So I don't know if we want to put a
Well,
pin in
may
this
take
and come
some
back later, or.
creativity. Have you talked to the principal or?
I have. I hit him up first, and then he put me in touch with Shannon.
Okay.
And then Shannon put me in touch with the school board, said, probably want to talk to the school board. So I said,
Yeah.
roger that. With Colfax, I don't know if you've been, so the 195 on Colfax, they're right outside the school on the fence. There's a banner that says Washington National Guard. It's in taste, and that's all it says. And it's on the fence. And then so I gave them $2,500, I think, is what they charged me for space rental. For advertising for that. And it's, again, always within taste and within what's comfortable with the school and the school principal, since they have to see this regularly. It's nothing that's going to be guns or anything else like that. Definitely not, especially with the political climate that we have right now. There's not going to be a soldier on the banner or anything else. It's going to be very tasteful along those lines. So, and again, something that the school board would agree with, or the principal, whoever I would talk to regularly, communicate with regularly. So that's what I wanted to do. That's what I'm asking. Is there any questions that I can answer at this time?
Oh, I know
I
we
think I'm
ran a
good.
lot
Thank
of
you.
Air National Guard public service announcements on our radio stations.
Yeah. So they do a lot of that. Let me see, some of the other schools, Clarkston, they have their softball field or their baseball field over at Clarkston. They've got specifications. It has to be an 8x10, and it's made by Lamar Advertising makes it. So I gave them that money, and so in like a couple of weeks, it's supposed to go up.
Field, yeah.
It's supposed to go up on their field, in the back of their left field and right field, they're supposed to go over there. So each school is different, and I would work one-on-one with whoever, whether it be the principal or whoever the school board is comfortable with. So
Perfect.
that's what I want to talk about.
Would you guys like to review policy regarding this?
Oh, yeah, I know we have policies that we have to
Yeah.
approve
Mhm.
certain
I understand.
amounts of donations and
Mhm.
stuff. But
And I assume Shannon has your contact information once we
Shannon,
talk
do you still have
about
my
it?
card? Okay.
Great.
Yeah, we talked.
But we
so,
will.
Definitely.
Thank you for
Thank you
thinking
for your
of
time.
us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And I don't see any other visitors here tonight, so I'm going to assume we're done with the
We'll assume
visitors
that, yeah.
section. Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. To expedite business at a board meeting, the board approves the use of a consent agenda, which includes items considered to be routine in nature. Any item which appears on the consent agenda may be removed from the consent agenda by a member of the board and voted on separately. The remaining items will be voted on by a single motion. Tonight's consent agenda consists of minutes, warrants, budget status report, personnel report, professional personal services contract report, overnight field trip requests, records destruction, and ASB fundraisers. I would now entertain a motion regarding the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next, we'll move on to our action items this evening. The first action item is a Pac-12 donation. This will be presented by Superintendent Maxwell.
Thank you. So we brought this to your attention this past board meeting. So the Pac-12 is donating $11,500 to Lincoln Middle School and Pullman High School with the idea to use that money to purchase Chromebooks. Of course, all donations in the school district that exceed $10,000 must be approved by the board. This is similar to a Pac-12 donation last year, which was $12,000 that went to our elementary schools. And so what we're requesting is your approval to accept the donation.
How many Chromebooks would that be?
They're about
About 100?
they're about 200. We get them for about $210 a
Okay.
piece. So
All right.
it's enough to get
That's
a cart.
good. Should be good. All right. Still working on that
What are
one-on-one.
I mean, this is fresh in my mind because we just heard a presentation about marketing for donations. I mean, what sort of marketing or anything are they asking for us, or do they just get the credit of saying they support Pullman Public Schools?
What they do is they usually ask for a teacher representative from each school to be, it's like a teacher appreciation recognition that they do at football games,
Okay,
and then they donate.
cool, okay.
So it's not a paid
Like
advertisement.
Pac-12 logos on it?
Yeah, there's not
Sign
a
outside.
Pac-12 logo.
Okay.
There's no banner, there's no posters. It's strictly, can you send a teacher representative and they,
To accept the donation.
to accept the
symbolically,
donation symbolically at the field. So,
Super.
Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned this last time, but I would move to support that,
so.
to approve the motion.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept and approve this Pac-12 donation. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's accept that money. And the next item is policy 5010, non-discrimination.
Oops, excuse me. So again, talked about this at the last board meeting, but policy 5010 is our non-discrimination affirmative action. It's been updated to reflect the changes recommended by WASDA. Changes are grammatical in nature with no major changes to any of the content. So last time this was actually updated was in 2015. And so that was also to align with giving you an updated report.
Well, having discussed this last time, I will move that we approve the revisions to policy 5010.
Second?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve revisions to policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we'll move on to discussion items, beginning with the 2017-18 PEA contract and MOUs presented by Superintendent Maxwell.
Yes, hopefully you've had some time to read through the bargaining agreement, plus there are 3 MOUs there. So this would be for the 2017-18 school year only. So this has been ratified by the PEA membership. So that's attached for you to review. The self-funded trust account MOU, just so you're aware, we had basically a self-funded dental and vision before moving to PEB. Since we had a balance left in that account, this MOU is designed to make sure that that money will be split up amongst the employees that have put in that money. And so we'll be working as soon as all the last claims are done out of that account, redistributing that money back to the employees.
Great.
The other 2 MOUs are just things that did not get into the regular agreement. And so we agreed to do a separate MOU for each of those. And then those will be incorporated most likely into the next round of negotiations and bargaining agreement.
Thank you.
If you'd like, I could go through the entire, what,
Oh, no,
81
that's
pages.
just fine, thank you.
Do you
I appreciate
anticipate another annual agreement next time, or? do you
Yes.
think- Yeah, okay, so just.
The
here you go.
reason for that, good question. The reason why I'm 99.9% sure it'll only be a one-year agreement is due to the 3-year funding transition model that's currently in place by the state legislature. I think we, as well as the PEA, would be very reluctant to go more than 1 year because we just don't know what's going to happen. There'll be some changes. So we'll be starting negotiations next month. So we have 2 dates scheduled. So, but it's a very fair agreement, and we're happy that we have it wrapped up and we can bring it to you.
Yeah. Just one to go.
More than that. I wish it was only one.
Well, no, I mean, wrapped up for
Oh, yes.
this year.
Oh, yes,
Just
absolutely.
one to go.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, you get the joy of
So,
doing, is it pretty much secretaries?
custodians will be this year.
Yeah,
Paraeducators currently going on, and the Teachers Association will be this year. So actually, this spring, we're negotiating 3 contracts.
Are the-
and then the secretaries are for
1 more year out.
one more, okay.
So are the custodians on a 2 year?
Oh, and custodians. Yes,
Okay.
custodians this year, paras this year, teachers. Oh, I had the 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
are the custodians on a 2-year agreement, or,
Yes, they are on.
and then
a
the
2-year.
secretaries as well?
They were on a
3-year.
3, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions about the bargain? Okay.
It struck me when I read through that that is a good way to learn a lot about how things work, because it's all encased in that one,
It's very detailed, huh?
document. Like, if you can, get through all that, you actually have probably accomplished a significant amount of professional development. Just, there's a lot in there. Okay. Next we have,
Turn.
oh yes, policy 3530, fundraising activities involving students, presented by our fiscal manager, Diane Hodge.
Okay, so this is regarding fundraising activities involving students. You might be here a while. The changes were pretty complex. It's right at the top, Bob. You're going to pass it. Hold on.
Where did I miss it?
You
I don't
silly
see it.
girl.
Keep going. Keep going. No.
That's what I thought down, but
Yeah, right.
it seems to jump every time.
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Right there.
Oh, there it is, sorry. Just trying to mess with you tonight. There we go. So do you want me to
The
open
pol-
that
the
up?
policy,
You
yeah.
just announced that, so.
So this was pretty complicated. They changed the words since to because and shall to will.
Oh, no.
The shells to will. They just really hate the shells, don't they?
Yeah, yeah,
Spent quite a bit of time on this one.
yeah.
That's it. They just wanted those few little changes done, and so we did them.
Okay, well, thank you though
Boy,
for
thank you for all your work
keeping
on
track
this.
of.
Yeah, that was
No,
good.
though, I mean, she's got policies within her area and she's keeping them up to date, so
That's
that's
good.
great.
Yeah.
So that's it. Any questions?
So do they send you just like a change summary, or do they just make
They
you
do.
guess as
So,
to what
yeah.
they've changed? Okay, good.
Bob has a list of all the policies that need updates, that WASDA's changed, and so we go through them periodically and look at what needs to be updated. So we just kind of keep up with the list. That's why Bob brings quite a few to the table tonight.
Okay, so they at least highlight the changes for you, though, so that you don't have to kind of guess where?
No.
Okay. No, they don't?
No, they don't.
Oh, wow,
We just
so,
have to review ours, compare ours to theirs.
okay, well, yeah, good catch.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Any
Oh,
questions?
it'd be nice
No.
if they were all that way, but it doesn't happen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
And
Diane.
our last discussion item this evening is policy 5010, non-discrimination and affirmative action.
Thank you. So policy 5010, non-discrimination affirmative action has been updated to reflect changes recommended by WASDA in April of 2017. Changes are grammatical in nature with no major changes of content. Prior to these changes was last updated in 15. Just a second. Open that up for you. So again, the coveted shall to will in the first paragraph, in the second paragraph. The third, they added the word plan and will develop rather than shall. I can't read that was, but again, shall to will, shall to will. Struck a couple lines, inserted the word includes, inserted the word also, and under. And some management resources just reflects policy and legal news, April 2017. Again, doesn't change the content at all. Any
Does
questions?
anyone have any questions?
Is it non-discrimination to? It just sounds funny. Do you discriminate to those with disabilities?
Which line are you looking at, Susan?
I don't know. One of them down there. I can't see on that. And mine is squirrely here, so sorry, but it's on the very bottom of 3.1.
2.1.
I don't know, it just sounded funny is all. Non-discrimination to those with disabilities.
Subject to discrimination in the district. Clarify applications.
It's in the first line and below employment of persons with disabilities in order to fulfill
In
its
order to
commitment.
fulfill with commitment.
Oh, of non-discrimination too. It's a commitment of
Commitment of,
non-discrimination.
yeah.
There are two spaces between two and those, though.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, but at first I was,
In order to fulfill
Yeah.
its
Sound like
commitment
it part
of
of it.
non-discrimination. Yeah, so it just sounds
yeah.
Oh, just, yeah.
not
It's
typically
a
what you would-
commitment to those with disabilities, and then there's a parenthetical phrase of
Well,
non-discrimination.
I don't
in
get
there.
the whole thing on my little screen, so
Oh, okay,
okay.
yeah.
I just got F, non-discrimination to those with disabilities. The following conditions prevail.
So
Okay.
is yours also having some reading issues with it?
Oh, I don't know. It could be user error.
Oh, okay. No, because, I mean, sometimes there are some weird, okay.
Pieces of this.
So they-
These are docs in there.
Yeah, I would totally
Maybe
agree. That's what I was just going to say. It's a
docs
version.
Yeah.
This is formatting issue.
So
That might
maybe
be the
there's a
problem.
conversion process that we should double check to make sure it's working
Yeah.
correctly, because
Yeah,
it's,
we might have to check. Did we do anything
Okay.
differently than we've done before?
No, I don't know if maybe the software, the version of
Ver-
Acrobat is a little different on my computer.
Yeah.
I just need to
that
go
could be.
through every single document and make sure that it's converting correctly.
yeah.
If we save them to PDFs, then it doesn't matter the system you open them on, they'll always look the same.
Yeah.
But when you leave
Just-
them in Word and you open them in
Agreed.
Apple versus PC, it's
Yep,
messed up.
agreed,
I didn't just.
Okay.
And looking through every page.
okay.
Well, I think on here, so if it's a PDF, then if we have track changes, then it might be something we'll have to take a look at. But I think that's why in Word, because it's easier for us to take a look at that.
Mhm.
Or if we did the
Yeah.
PDF, we'd have to have it as the track changes showing.
Well, you can export directly from Word to PDF, I think. Just save it
Yeah.
straight up.
Save it straight
Yeah, and
up.
it should keep all of that
Yep.
imagery of the track changes.
Yep, sometimes it actually enhances it and looks nicer as a PDF, so,
Well, we'll take a look at that. Thank you,
In
Susan.
my humble opinion.
yeah,
Okay,
all right.
close out of that one.
That's it?
It appears
Yes,
that we
it
have
is.
come to the end of our discussion items.
Wow.
Is there anything else you'd like to discuss, Director Weed?
No, this is where I glare at anybody who wants to.
We'll see what we can do for more policies next
No,
time.
no, 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 this is awesome.
Okay. Should we interpret from the board's remarks earlier that you would like to review the policy that guides advertising and,
I had a couple of questions. I don't know when would be the appropriate time to ask them. But how often do we allow the recruiter into the high school? I noticed he said he was at the high school all the time. I was just curious.
But I think by law, we have to.
I know,
because
but
we
like,
take
they-
federal funds.
Typically, they usually come when we're doing, when we're opening it up to other college recruitment, and
Okay.
there's usually several tables that are set up, so typically there's 3 or 4 different entities here that are.
How frequently
showcasing.
though does it happen, do you think? I mean, like once or twice a year, or is it every week?
I'd have to.
Joe might know.
Joe might
They
know.
can, military recruiters can visit up to 4 times a year.
4 times.
Okay, that's very helpful.
That's 4 times, that's for each individual branch of the
Ah,
service.
gotcha.
But they never come that often.
I was gonna say, I maybe see them once a year here, and typically in the spring, towards graduation, seniors, what are you doing, and that kind of thing.
Cool.
but going back to the policy item, is that something you guys would like to review?
Actually, I
the
think that
policy?
if we opened up and had a sign at Quan Field, where there's a billion other different, or not a billion, but a lot of other commercial signs up at Quan Field, it would be perfectly legit to do that. They go out and sell sponsorships and that sort of thing, and it might help,
That's through the Legion program, when they do this.
that they do the signs,
Yeah, that's not through the
Well,
district.
we could actually, it's sort of our field and the city's field, we can put one up there too. I don't see any reason with it, and that would qualify according to what he said.
That's why I'm asking if you'd like to review our policy.
Yes.
Okay. Because it's not a one-issue decision, it's a,
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
but, we don't have to approve it by the board either. As long as it follows the policy, the board does not have to approve anything under $10,000.
Well, I think you have to be thinking too in the terms of, is it a donation or you're selling advertising space?
It sounds like the latter, to be honest. I mean.
Right, it is.
It is.
Because
Actually,
if you listen to what he said, we're renting a space, right? So he's renting the fence at Colfax.
Yeah, I put big quotation marks.
Yeah, but I think it would be good for the board to review the policy, because when you start talking about advertisement, then that opens the door for all advertisement, possibly. And so that needs to be something you need to be you need to think through, because then you're talking, pretty much anybody then is going to be able to come in and advertise. So just be thinking about that, but I would encourage you to look at the policy that we have in place and see what your comfortability is with the advertising.
Do you guys know the policy reference number, or is it?
We do, it's
something in the 4,000s, right?
in the 4,000 under management.
That's good.
I had it like 3 weeks ago, and then I put it away because.
could you send it out
Yeah.
so people have an opportunity?
But when we donate, say, advertising to different activities, all they do is just put a logo on. It's the same kind of a deal. They put a logo on the T-shirt, a logo on the program. We advertise the event. It's the same kind of a deal. It's not really, it's more of a sponsorship than an advertisement.
I was just going to say that. It could be considered a sponsorship because he wants to sponsor the clubs
club,
instead of, we can't, and we just talked about this actually this week. Someone wants to sponsor one of the clubs for a trip. And so we were specifically asked if they found someone who wanted to pay for their hotel and their trip. And so we were told that they could, and they just wanted to put on Facebook, we're sponsoring Pullman High School. And
It's just a recognition.
yeah, and we can do it for clubs, we just can't do it for athletics because WIA has rules against that.
Yep.
So if he wants to sponsor those clubs, then that's something that we could probably do. Again, please look at the policy, but we did check into that this week.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why the emphasis on clubs and not high school
Right.
directly, to be honest.
Right.
'Cause it's-
Yeah, because it gets complicated, because you have sponsorships, you have advertising, you have donations, you have sales. I mean, there's a variety of things that,
But he's not, I mean, since he has specifically indicated it is a donation to a club, that is not advertising. What we are doing is recognizing that he's donating, and that's a completely different look at things, but that's just,
I might have to go cruise to Colfax and just see the sign, just to check it out.
sadly, I've never noticed it, but they said at Clarkston, it's on the baseball field.
you know, I have not seen, I reached out about 3 weeks ago when this first came to, I think it was 3 weeks ago. When he talked to you, Shannon?
Yeah, I think for the last board meeting.
Yeah, and none of my colleagues have reported that they had met with him at that particular time. So, not saying that they haven't since the 3 weeks, but
Interesting.
I can definitely inquire with
It's
my
been very busy.
colleagues.
Yeah. Been out and about. Okay. I move for adjournment.
Wait, executive session items?
Oh, do we have executive session?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we have
Yeah,
exec session.
forgot all about it. All right, well then, if there are no
Don't kill the
objections,
messenger.
Yeah,
we'll
you
out of the
can.
room and recess
Do it
into an
reading your
executive
agenda.
session. How long will our executive session last?
Nathan,
I will say
we almost got out of here.
no longer than 20 minutes.
Okay, so we should be done still before 8 o'clock, Susan, which is pretty good.
All right.
And no action will be taken.
My tooth hurts. Go home and take some drugs.
Yeah. that'd be good.
I don't know if it's good.
Ryan, do you want to grab this and look at it? or-
Yeah, is that a district computer?
It is.
You're using, okay.
Yeah.
It's just a reflection of now that we got
Yeah.
a building and.
So I notice in most often with things that are like that chart, if this is not the first time it's happened.
Well, so it wasn't a particular incident. No, it had nothing to do with it. It was just fine tuning.
It's not.
Oh,
That's a pretty computer.
The critical piece was now that we have the security system, we really need to fund everybody who comes in after that. So they sign in. The problem is with the outside door, a lot of people have keys to their doors. So we need to, so we need to make sure all the outside doors, we're just gonna have them.
Well, I just wanted to thank you very much.
So should I need to understand